Motoring 2010 on TSN is brought to you by Quaker State, real durable oil, and Michelin, a better way forward.
This week we're in the city of Vancouver, which just hosted the 2010 Olympics and Paralympics. And you can bet people will be talking about those games for many years to come. But this week on Motoring, we're not going to look into the past, we're looking into the future. How far into the future, I'm not too sure. But you know what, everybody has an opinion on what fuel will be powering our vehicles of the future. And this week, we're going to check out a couple of electric cars. One, a high-performance Roadster, the other one, much more mainstream. But no matter which fuel is powering those vehicles in the future, the question we all ask ourselves is, who are we going to call to fix them? Well, recently we dropped in on the Canadian Auto Show in Toronto. We met some young people who hope to be those mechanics of the future, but at the present, they only have one thing on their mind, and that is winning.
All of you have gone through a lot of training to be here today, and we hope to challenge you in every way possible.
We have a skills competition going on for high school students from the Greater Toronto area, and they're all competing here for the opportunity to go on to represent the Toronto Automobile Dealers Association at the National Automotive Technology event in New York City.
Ladies and gentlemen, the 11th annual Toronto Automotive Technology Competition begins now. Good luck.
Well, they're automotive students, and they are competing from various GTA schools, and they're about probably 17 years old, some grade 10 to grade 12. Well, the challenge here today is a two-part challenge. They have vehicles that they're working on. They're all 2010 Volkswagen Beetle convertibles that they're going to have to try to repair a number of faults, including a no start. But in addition to that, we also have 5 workstations that they're competing at, which will cover things like electrical, engine measurement, waveform analysis, things of that nature. They have 80 minutes on the car, and then there'll be a break and a reset, and when they go to the workstations, then they have 20 minutes at each of the 5 workstations.
I've been in the business for 60 years, right out of high school, as an auto mechanic, first of all. But I've spent most of my working career training mechanics in either colleges or institutions or running my own business.
Ron, how are you doing? Good
to see you. Good to see you again. Oh, I met Bill Gardner probably 25 years ago when he attended one of my first training courses. And every time I came out with a new course, he was one of the first guys to enroll. And he had his own shop at the time, and so this was one of the ways that he kept up to date.
Adjusting the rear caliper on GM with 4-wheel disc brakes?
Well, I think sometimes they take automotive courses in high school because they want to learn how to fix their own car, perhaps. But the ones that take it seriously, there's a great opportunity in this business for the simple reason that people are driving cars, they're always going to drive cars, and they need to be fixed. And the young people today that take the time to learn how to do it right, have got a bright future for them.
My son is involved in this competition. He's a grade 12 student, and we're very pleased to be down here because it's a great deal of information they're going to be able to learn.
Well, I'm 17, and the whole thing means a lot to me because I'm looking into the automotive trade. I am an apprentice. I'm with the City Motive program, and it shows me if I'm ready or not to work on a car in a dealership, and so far it looks like I'm almost there.
I think it's great to have kids at this age to be learning this type of technology.
Did Dad teach him everything?
Dad's taught him what he knows, but it's up to him to learn the rest.
Pretty proud of him?
Very proud.
I'm 17 years old. Why I'm doing this? I love cars. I've always loved cars. Since as long as I can remember, I've always loved mucking around under the hood, helping my dad out in the driveway. But recently I started an apprenticeship program, and I figured this would just be some good experience for me. I think I fared all right. I mean, Volkswagen's something I haven't worked on a lot of. I've worked on a lot of American cars, so it was a challenge, but I think I did okay.
In first place, team number 17. Yeah!
And these students come in here with a good attitude. These are the future technicians for our industry. As the trade ages right across the board, we need good people with problem-solving skills and good technical skills to be able to take our place. And from a college standpoint, the more we can do to help the schools that feed our college students and our programs, the better off it is for us. But it's great for everybody. We need to have better trained technicians out there for everyone.
Domestic versus import car quality. Is the worm turning? More later on Kenzie's Corner.
The modern car is changing, and nowhere is that more evident than in the number of new luxury hybrid cars. On this edition of Test Drive, we take a look at the Mercedes-Benz S400. It's a mild hybrid that uses a 120-volt lithium-ion battery. The whole high-end hybrid thing is really starting to grow. BMW has the X6 and the 7 Series active hybrids, Lexus has its range, and Mercedes-Benz will add another hybrid to go along with this new S400. The point here is that many want the luxury of a high-end car but do not want to be seen as falling into the conspicuous consumption group. The S400 delivers on that promise for two important reasons. It is satisfyingly fast and it is far from a gas hog. If you're into high-tech, this car is right up your alley. It's got everything from adaptive headlights all the way through to all of the power items you could possibly want, including a double moonroof. You'll also find a 600-watt Harman Kardon audio system and a navigation system. It also has one of those all-encompassing central controllers. Now, the saving grace to the command system is the fact that you'll actually find redundant buttons so you don't have to delve into menu after menu just to turn the fan up. But when you get to the front seats, now you're talking something special. Let's take a look. As well as being 12-way adjustable, these seats can also be adjusted in a number of other ways. You can set the seat base bolsters, the backrest bolsters, the lumbar support, the shoulder support. There's a massage function that makes it feel as though you're sitting on a bag of pythons, and there's the dynamic seat function. It keeps you planted when you play. These seats are something else. The heart of the S400's mild hybrid system is a modified version of Mercedes-Benz ubiquitous 3.5-litre V6 engine. To begin with, it runs on the Atkinson cycle, which improves its operating efficiency. It also uses modified cylinder heads, and so it produces 275 horsepower, which is up 7. It also twists out 258 pound-feet of torque at a low 2400 RPM. This engine is then teamed with a 7-speed automatic that drives the rear wheels. It is a decent package as it stands. The beauty of this S400 hybrid is that it comes without compromise. Instead of taking up precious trunk space, the 120-volt lithium-ion battery actually sits right under the hood where the 12-volt battery once sat. Now, the logic behind this car is equally easy to understand. For about 99% of all driving conditions, this 3.5-litre V6 is more than adequate. If the driver demands more power, that's where the electric motor comes in. It chips in another 118 pound-feet of torque from Rev 1. As a result, the S400 puts a maximum system output of 295 horsepower and 280 pound-feet of torque at the driver's disposal. This is enough to whisk 2,050 kilograms of leather-lined opulence to 100k in 7.2 seconds and turn the 80 to 120 in 6 seconds flat. If you do happen to get relegated to the back seat, well, life's not so tough to take. You've got heated seats, limo-like legroom, plenty of headroom, a nice glass panel above your head, and you've got the remote control. This allows you to control a lot of the command functions whilst you're sitting in the back seat. You want to talk about the lap of luxury? It's right here. The S400 Hybrid also uses all of the usual tricks to maximise economy. Whenever the driver touches the brakes, the electric motor is used to recharge the 120-volt battery, and unlike so many other cars that rely on regenerative braking, the S400's pedal is actually remarkably neutral. Then there's the idle stop feature. When the car slows below 15 kilometers an hour, the engine shuts down to conserve fuel. The instant the driver lifts off the brake, the electric motor restarts the engine before the driver has time to get back on the gas. As for the rest of it, the Hybrid feels just like any other S-Class. The ride is refined and the response to driver input is polished. This Mercedes-Benz S400 Hybrid makes an awful lot of sense. It is a full-on luxury car, but it's also very fuel efficient. Over the course of the test, we averaged a little over 10 litres per 100 kilometres. Now that for a full-size car is phenomenal.
This is the Tesla Roadster. It's a 100% electric car. It's actually the only highway-capable 100% electric car being manufactured and sold on the market today. Tesla is actually the last name of Nikola Tesla, and Nikola Tesla is the namesake for this company. He originally filed the patent in 1888 in New York City for a version of this AC induction motor, and that patent has now passed, so now we have access to the name. The best way to charge this car is off of a 220-volt line at a 70 amp setting. That will give you a charge time in as little as 3.5 hours. And the range on that is 395 kilometers.
With the Tesla, you don't need a launch mode, you don't need a sport mode in the transmission. The key is on, all you do is hit the pedal and off you go. A smile on your face.
What's great about this car is people say, oh, it's silent. It's actually not silent. It's silent from the exterior of the car. It's not silent from the interior. So there is a sound. It is actually the sound from the Bat Pod in the Batman series movie. So it's got a real neat sound. They use it for the Bat Pod. What's really exciting about the car is that it is 100% electric. We will be the first people on the market in Canada with an electric car. It's a significant number of people who have ordered the car, so we're waiting patiently.
Earlier we saw some young people involved in a very fierce mechanics competition. Of course, they have the long-term goal of fixing our cars of the future. It was also an opportunity for our Bill Gardner to meet one of his mentors. And speaking of our man in the Quaker State garage, you gotta figure that watching these young people had to bring back memories. How about it, Bill?
Big time memories, Brad. You know, 71, 2, 3, and 4. When I was in high school, I went to Applewood Heights Secondary School in Mississauga. My teacher was Leonard Koike. Back then, the big deal for a high school auto student, and probably predecessor to the contest you saw today, was called the Chrysler Troubleshooting Contest. And it was a really big deal back then. And my late uncle, my Uncle Ken Gardner, was the instructor at New Toronto Secondary School, and his kids won that Chrysler Troubleshooting Contest on a couple of occasions. It was a really neat deal. And you know what? Any of these competitions or contest that can acknowledge these technicians, give them some hands-on experience and some acknowledgement for all their efforts. Fantastic. I'm really for it. And you know what? I met a couple of guys here today. I met Ron Brown, who used to tutor me or teach us as mechanics, independent mechanics. We went to Ron Brown and his Auto No training courses to get better information about upcoming models of cars. And you know what? I still use a lot of the information that Ron taught me. He just taught really sound basics of electronic troubleshooting back then. He taught brake and front end and all kinds of other courses. Taught me some really neat tricks on carburetors back in the day when Ford had a variable Venturi carburetor. But if there was a trick that was coming down the pipe, he would teach you about it ahead of time so that when those cars started rolling in your shop, it wasn't unknown territory. I also met Gerd Reisnicker, who was my engines teacher at Centennial College in Scarborough after I got out of high school and did my apprenticeship. He was my engines teacher, and the one thing I really remember about Mr. Reisnicker, you pick up that bottle of motor oil and you read motor oil. I mean, that's what we all call it, right? But Mr. Reisnicker, when we were in engines class, he said, "Boys, this is an engine. Motors are electric." Till next week, I'm Bill Gardner for Motoring 2010.
Along with the athletes, General Motors was a big star at the Olympics this year in Vancouver. They had a fleet of hydrogen-powered EQUINOXes shuttling people around. They also had one of the most talked about and anticipated electric vehicles in the world, the Chevy Volt.
General Motors of Canada is a proud sponsor of the 2010 Winter Olympic Games here in Vancouver. We committed over 4,600 vehicles to this Winter Olympic Games, and we've been driving dignitaries around, VIPs, celebrities, and the like. It's also part of the providing green vehicles. So we originally committed one fuel cell Equinox to these games, and we actually have 8 on the road here, a full fleet that have been here since November.
So a fuel cell car is really, it's an electric car. That instead of having a battery, it has a fuel cell that generates electricity from hydrogen that runs the electric car.
The gentleman running the program for us is Gary Sowerby. He's a world-renowned traveler and driver, well-known amongst auto enthusiasts and people around the world.
And that which powers an electric motor. It's fueled in the back. It's kind of like driving around with a movie star on your arm, but people want to know about it. And when they see zero emissions on the back, I think that the time's come that people are interested in that. And the thing moves. I mean, all the torque is available on launch. And I think that it's the same as when I first drove in a fuel cell car. I thought, you've got to baby this thing. But when you get in it, the thing moves right along.
Also, we had not too long ago committed 2 Chevrolet Volts that we've had here for several days now. And again, just bringing that green element of the vehicle side to the games.
The Chevrolet Volt is an electric vehicle, and we believe it is the best electric vehicle solution. The Voltec powertrain in the Chevrolet Volt enables you to drive up to 64 kilometers purely electrically. Beyond that, because most electric vehicles come with something we call range anxiety, which is the concern that you don't know where your next charge is coming from. To fully utilize that battery capacity, we also incorporate an internal combustion engine as a range extender. The range extender comprises a 1.4-liter 4-cylinder internal combustion engine and a generator. And its intent is to sustain the vehicle, sustain the electrical supply when you go beyond your 64-kilometer range. So it's not really charging the battery. What it's doing is just providing enough electricity to ensure that you can get home to start your next charge, or if you have a need for an extended trip, say to Whistler, it can provide that without any worry of being stranded. I've never seen the amount of enthusiasm that I've seen in any team in my career within General Motors. There's a large group of people that are totally committed to the success of this product, success from a safety perspective, from a quality perspective, from an environmental perspective, and they're having a lot of fun. They really, really enjoy this vehicle, and I'm sure when you get a chance to drive it, you'll have a lot of fun as well.
Closed captioning of Motoring 2010 is brought to you by the most fuel-efficient crossover on the highway, the all-new Chevy Equinox.
Schadenfreude. Now, for those of you who skipped German class, that means taking pleasure in other people's misfortunes. And I'm not going to say that there haven't been a few people that aren't all that unhappy to see the difficulties some of the Japanese car companies have been going through recently with recalls, Toyota and Honda specifically. But you know, I think we have to take a longer perspective on this. First of all, as the British would say, all mothers do have them. Every car company has recalls. Toyota's had recalls lots of times over the past few years. 4 or 5 years ago, the biggest single recall was for Toyota Tundra pickup trucks. So it's not like it's something new. But I think maybe the public has had maybe an even more inflated opinion of Toyota's quality than has really been the case. The cars are very good, no question about it, but I don't think they were quite as good as most people thought they were. And I don't think the domestic quality was ever quite as bad as a lot of people thought it was. And of course, the two have definitely converged. This recent concern with various Toyota and Honda recalls has perhaps leveled that playing field just a little bit. Now, if you own a Toyota, should you go hide under a bed? Should you go lock the car in a garage and take a cab to work? Not at all. Sure, there's been 8 million cars recalled, but only a very small percentage of those cars actually have the problem. For sure, go to your dealer and get it fixed, but don't feel that the car is going to blow up on you, because it's not going to happen. You have to be careful, but you don't have to go crazy about that. The final result, I think Toyota and Honda particularly have enough capital built up in terms of having built good cars for a long, long time. It's not going to have a long-term impact. Yes, their sales have been declining. It might affect the resale value. There's one lawsuit by a guy who hasn't had a problem with his car. He's just afraid he won't be able to sell it for the price he thinks he should be able to get for it a couple of years down the road. But long-term, don't worry about it. Toyota's going to survive, and you probably will too. I'm Jim Kenzie.
This week we met some people all hoping to be the Bill Gardners of the future. We also checked out a couple of electric cars. The Tesla, I gotta tell you, the fastest vehicle I've ever driven from a standing start, but it's strictly a niche car. As for the Volt, without a doubt, one of the most unique electric powertrains on the market, and it seats 4. Will it succeed? Well, first of all, the people who like to complain about the internal combustion engine, the greatest invention of the last century, I might add, it's time for them to step up to the plate and get into a showroom. And finally, General Motors has been criticized for taking so long in bringing the Volt out. But hey, let's take a page out of some of the athletes who left Vancouver after the Olympics. And for them, if you want to succeed, you got to practice, 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 and have some patience. So there you go. And before we go, another reminder, quickly approaching our 1-hour Car of the Year special. So cast your vote at motoringtv.com. That's it for now. We'll see you next time out as we continue to bring you more stories about cars and the people who drive them.
In real estate, it's all about location, location, location. When you're doing a Car of the Year show, it's all about cars, cars, and the beautiful people who drive them.
Aw, that's so sweet, Graham. He's good. See you next week.
Motoring 2010 on TSN has been brought to you by Quaker State, Real Durable Oil, and Michelin, a better way forward.